Why do some people achieve their goals while others stay stuck? Why do some people transform their lives while others keep making the same mistakes year after year? The answer isn't willpower. It's not motivation. It's not even discipline. The answer is habits. Your habits are the invisible architecture of your daily life. They're the automatic behaviors you repeat without thinking. And here's what most people don't realize. Your habits are either building the life you want or destroying it. There is no neutral. Every habit is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, said it perfectly. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goals might be ambitious. Your intentions might be good. But if your daily habits don't support those goals, you'll never reach them. Think about your life right now. What do you do every single day without thinking? How do you spend your first hour after waking up? What do you do when you're stressed, bored, or tired? These automatic behaviors, these habits, determine your health, your productivity, your relationships, your success, and ultimately, your life. The good news is this: habits can be changed. You're not stuck with the patterns you have now. You can build new habits that serve you. You can break old habits that hold you back. You can design a life where your default behaviors move you toward your goals instead of away from them. In the next hour, you're going to learn exactly how to do that. We'll start by understanding the science of habits, what they are, how they work, and why they're so powerful. Then you'll learn the 4 laws of building good habits, practical strategies you can use today. Next, we'll cover how to break bad habits using the inversion of those same 4 laws. After that, you'll discover identity-based habits, the most powerful approach to lasting change. And finally, you'll learn how to stack habits and build systems that make success inevitable. This isn't theory. This is based on cutting-edge research in neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral economics. It's the same framework used by Olympic athletes, top performers, and anyone who's created lasting change in their life. Here's what I need you to understand. Small habits don't add up, they compound. A 1% improvement every single day doesn't sound like much. But if you get 1% better each day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better than when you started. That's the power of habits. They're the compound interest of self-improvement. You already know what you should be doing. You should exercise. You should eat healthy. You should read more. You should work on your goals. But knowing isn't enough. You need a system that makes these behaviors automatic. You need habits. So take a deep breath and get ready. For the next hour, you're going to learn how to build habits that change your life. Not someday. Not when you feel motivated. Starting today, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Science of Habits. What exactly is a habit? A habit is an automatic behavior that you repeat regularly, without thinking. It's brushing your teeth before bed. It's checking your phone when you wake up. It's the route you drive to work. It's how you respond to stress. Habits are powerful because they don't require conscious decision-making. Once a behavior becomes a habit, your brain can execute it on autopilot while your conscious mind focuses on other things. This is incredibly efficient. Imagine if you had to consciously think about every step of brushing your teeth, or driving, or typing. You'd be exhausted. Habits free up your mental bandwidth for more important decisions. But here's the thing: habits work both ways. Good habits make your future easier. Bad habits make your future harder. And here's what's scary. Researchers estimate that 40% to 50% of our daily actions are habits, not conscious choices. That means nearly half of what you do every day is automatic. Think about that. Half of your life is on autopilot. The question is your autopilot taking you where you want to go? Let me explain how habits actually work. There's a simple neurological loop at the core of every habit. It has 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. This is called the habit loop, and understanding it is the key to changing any habit. First, the cue. This is the trigger that initiates the behavior. It's a piece of information that predicts a reward. Your phone buzzes. You smell coffee. You feel stressed. These cues trigger your brain to initiate a behavior. Second, the craving. This is the motivational force behind every habit. You don't crave the habit itself. You crave the change and state it delivers. You don't crave smoking a cigarette. You crave the relief it provides. You don't crave scrolling social media. You crave the novelty and entertainment. Without some level of motivation or desire, without craving a change, we have no reason to act. Third, the response. This is the actual habit you perform. Whether the response occurs depends on how motivated you are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. If the action requires more effort than you're willing to expend, you won't do it. Fourth, the reward. This is the end goal of every habit. The reward satisfies your craving and teaches your brain which actions are worth remembering for the future. If the reward is positive, your brain notes, "This worked. Let's do it again next time." This 4-stage pattern, cue, craving, response, reward, is the backbone of every habit. And it runs continuously, often without you even noticing. Your brain is constantly scanning the environment for cues, predicting what will happen next, trying behaviors, and learning which actions deliver rewards. Now let me share one of the most important concepts in habit science, the 1% rule. If you can get 1% better each day, you'll end up with results that are nearly 37 times better after 1 year. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for a year, you'll decline to nearly 0. Small improvements accumulate into remarkable results over time. The difference a tiny improvement can make is astounding. Here's how the math works. If you can improve by just 1% each day for a full year, you'll be 37.78 times better by the end of the year. But if you get 1% worse each day, you decline to almost nothing. This is why habits are so powerful. They compound. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. They want immediate results, so they chase big dramatic changes. But real change comes from small habits repeated consistently over time. This brings us to another critical concept: identity-based habits. Most people approach habits the wrong way. They focus on what they want to achieve, the outcome. But the most effective way to change your behavior is to focus on who you wish to become, your identity. There are 3 levels of change: outcome, process, and identity. Outcome is about what you get. Process is about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. Imagine 2 people trying to quit smoking. When offered a cigarette, the first person says, "No thanks. I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks. I'm not a smoker." The difference is subtle but profound. The first person still sees themselves as a smoker who's trying to quit. The second person has changed their identity. They're not a smoker. Period. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with it is because it becomes part of your identity. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. Your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe you are. When your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you're no longer pursuing behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. This is why identity-based habits are so powerful. They build on your sense of self. Here's how the science of habits shows up in your brain. Every time you repeat a behavior, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with that habit. Neurons that fire together wire together. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain physically changes based on what you do repeatedly. The basal ganglia, a part of your brain involved in emotions, memories, and pattern recognition, is where habits are stored. When you first learn a behavior, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, is heavily involved. But as the behavior becomes automatic, activity shifts to the basal ganglia. This is why habits feel effortless once they're established. Your brain has literally rewired itself to make the behavior automatic. But here's the flip side. Breaking a bad habit is difficult because you're fighting against neural pathways that have been strengthened through years of repetition. The good news? You can build new pathways. You can create new habits. Your brain is plastic, changeable. Let me share a powerful example. There's a concept called keystone habits, habits that have a ripple effect on other areas of your life. Exercise is a classic keystone habit. When people start exercising regularly, they often eat better without trying. They become more productive at work. They're more patient with their family. They manage stress better. One habit, exercise, triggers a chain reaction of positive changes. Identifying and building keystone habits in your life can transform multiple areas simultaneously. Now, here's the truth you need to accept. You are your habits. Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. How in shape or out of shape you are, a result of your habits. How happy or unhappy you are, a result of your habits. How successful or unsuccessful you are, a result of your habits. What you repeatedly do ultimately forms the person you are, the things you believe, and the personality that you portray. Everything you are today is a result of your habits. Everything you will be in 5 years will be the result of the habits you build starting today. This isn't meant to make you feel bad about your current habits. It's meant to empower you. If habits created your current life, habits can create your future life. You have the power to change. You have the ability to build new patterns. You can become whoever you want to be, one small habit at a time. In the next chapter, we're going to get practical. I'm going to teach you the 4 laws of building good habits, a proven framework you can use to create any habit you want. These aren't vague principles. They're specific, actionable strategies. Let's keep building. Chapter 2. The 4 Laws of Building Good Habits. Now that you understand what habits are and how they work, let's talk about how to build good habits that actually stick. I'm going to give you 4 laws, 4 principles based on the habit loop we discussed. These laws work. They're not my opinion. They're based on decades of research and real-world results. Master these 4 laws, and you can build any habit you want. The 4 laws are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Let's break down each one. Law 1. Make it obvious. Remember, every habit starts with a cue. If the cue isn't obvious, the habit won't happen. The first step to building a new habit is making the cue unmistakably clear. Here's how you do that. First, Use implementation intention. This is a fancy term for a simple concept. Decide exactly when and where you'll perform your new habit. The format is I will behavior at time in location. For example, I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. in my bedroom. Not, I'll meditate more. That's too vague. Be specific. When will you do it? Where will you do it? Studies show that people who use implementation intention are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through. Why? Because you've eliminated ambiguity. Your brain knows exactly what to do and when to do it. Second, use habit stacking. This means pairing a new habit with an existing habit. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write in my gratitude journal. You're using an established habit as the cue for your new habit. This is incredibly powerful because you already have neural pathways for your current habits. You're piggybacking the new behavior onto an existing routine. Third, design your environment. Make the cues of good habits obvious in your environment. Want to drink more water? Put a water bottle on your desk where you can see it. Want to practice guitar? Put the guitar in the middle of your living room, not in the closet. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Your environment is filled with cues. The more obvious you make the cues for your good habits, the more likely you are to follow through. Don't leave your habits to chance. Design your environment for success. Law 2. Make it attractive. The more attractive a habit is, the more likely you are to perform it. Remember, cravings drive behavior. If you can make a habit attractive, you'll crave it. Here's how. First, use temptation bundling. This means pairing an action you want to do with an action you need to do. The format is, after habit I need, I will habit I want. For example, after I do 20 minutes of exercise need, I will watch one episode of my favorite show want. You're linking something you enjoy with something that's good for you. This makes the good habit more attractive because it comes with an immediate reward. Second, join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. We tend to adopt habits that are praised and approved by our culture because we have a strong desire to fit in and belong. If you want to read more, join a book club. If you want to exercise, join a gym or running group. If you want to build a business, surround yourself with entrepreneurs. When you see others doing the behavior you want to adopt, it becomes more attractive. Third, reframe your mindset. Highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits and performing your good habits. Change I have to I get to. I have to wake up early becomes I get to wake up early and have time for myself. I have to work out becomes I get to build a strong body. This simple linguistic shift changes your perception of the habit from burden to opportunity. Law 3. Make it easy. This is where most people fail. They make their habits too difficult. They rely on motivation and willpower, which are finite resources. Instead, make your habits so easy that you can do them even when you don't feel motivated. Here's how. First, reduce friction. Decrease the number of steps between you and your good habits. Want to work out in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. Want to eat healthy? Prep your meals on Sunday. Want to practice a skill? Set up your environment the night before so everything is ready. Every bit of friction you remove makes the habit easier, and easier habits are more likely to happen. Second, use the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read before bed becomes read one page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes. The idea is to make it so easy you can't say no. Once you start, it's easier to continue. The hardest part is starting. Make starting effortless. Third, prime your environment. Prepare your environment to make future actions easier. If you want to draw more, put your pencils and paper on your desk the night before. If you want to eat healthy breakfast, put a bowl and cereal out before you go to bed. Set yourself up for success before you need to make a decision. Law 4. Make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. This is a problem because many good habits have delayed rewards. You don't get fit after one workout. You don't become wealthy after saving money once. You don't build relationships after one good conversation. The brain prioritizes immediate rewards over delayed rewards. So how do you make good habits satisfying right now? Here's how. First, give yourself an immediate reward. After you complete your habit, do something you enjoy. After your workout, take a relaxing shower. After you study, eat a healthy snack you love. After you write, enjoy a good cup of coffee. The reward needs to align with your identity. Don't reward a workout with cake, but it should be immediately satisfying. Second, use habit tracking. The most basic form of tracking is simple. Get a calendar and mark an X each day you complete your habit. Don't break the chain. Habit tracking is powerful because the act of tracking itself is satisfying. It's visual proof of progress. You can see your streak building. Research shows that people who track their habits are much more likely to stick with them. It makes progress obvious and satisfying. Third, never miss twice. This is crucial. Everyone misses a workout, skips a meditation, or eats unhealthy occasionally. That's not the problem. The problem is missing twice. One mistake is an accident. 2 mistakes is the start of a pattern. When you miss once, make it a rule to get back on track immediately. Don't let one slip become a spiral. These 4 laws work together. Let me give you an example of all 4 laws in action. Let's say you want to build a habit of reading before bed. Make it obvious. Put a book on your pillow every morning. The cue is unmistakable. Make it attractive. Only read books you're genuinely interested in. Join a book club to make it social. Make it easy. Start with just 1 page. Lower the barrier to entry. Make it satisfying. Use a habit tracker. Mark off each day you read. Feel the satisfaction of progress. When you apply all 4 laws, habits become almost inevitable. You're not relying on willpower or motivation. You're designing a system that makes success the default outcome. In the next chapter, we're going to flip this framework. I'm going to teach you how to break bad habits using the inversion of these same 4 laws. If you can build good habits, you can also break bad ones. Let's keep going. Chapter 3. Breaking Bad Habits. Building good habits is only half the battle. The other half is breaking the bad habits that are holding you back. The good news is this: you can use the same framework we just learned, but in reverse. If the 4 laws of building good habits are make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, then the 4 laws of breaking bad habits are their inversions. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. Let's break down each one. Inversion of Law 1. Make it invisible. If a cue triggers a habit, then eliminating the cue can eliminate the habit. Out of sight, out of mind. This is why environment design is so powerful. If you want to break a bad habit, remove the cue from your environment. Here's how. First, remove temptation from your environment. If you watch too much TV, unplug it and put it in the closet after each use. If you eat too much junk food, don't keep it in the house. If you spend too much time on social media, delete the apps from your phone. You can't rely on willpower when the cue is staring you in the face. Make the cue invisible. Second, change your environment. Sometimes the cue is the environment itself. If you always eat junk food at your desk, stop eating at your desk. If you always scroll your phone in bed, charge your phone in another room. Break the association between the cue and the bad habit. Third, reduce exposure. You don't have to eliminate every cue, but you can reduce how often you encounter them. Unsubscribe from tempting emails. Unfollow accounts that trigger bad habits. Choose a route to work that doesn't pass your favorite donut shop. The less you see the cue, the less you'll crave the habit. Inversion of Law 2. Make it unattractive. Reframing is powerful. If you can make a bad habit seem unattractive, you'll be less motivated to do it. Here's how. First, highlight the costs of your bad habit. Every bad habit has a cost. Make that cost visible and unavoidable. If you smoke, look at pictures of damaged lungs. If you spend too much money, calculate how much you've wasted in the last year. If you procrastinate, write down what it's cost you in terms of opportunities and stress. Make the negative consequences impossible to ignore. Second, reframe your mindset. Instead of saying, "I can't have that cookie," say, "I don't eat cookies." Can't implies deprivation. Don't implies identity. You're not giving something up, you're being someone different. Third, find a substitute. Sometimes you can't make a bad habit unattractive because it serves a need. In that case, find a healthier substitute. If you stress eat, replace it with stress walking. If you mindlessly scroll when bored, replace it with reading. If you drink alcohol to relax, replace it with meditation or exercise. The key is to address the underlying craving with a better behavior. Inversion of Law 3. Make it difficult. If reducing friction makes good habits easy, adding friction makes bad habits hard. Increase the number of steps between you and your bad habit. Here's how. First, increase friction. Make your bad habits harder to do. If you watch too much TV, unplug it after each use and take the batteries out of the remote. Every time you want to watch, you have to plug it in and find batteries. That's friction. If you spend too much online, delete your credit card information from websites so you have to manually enter it each time. That pause might be enough to stop the impulse. Second, use a commitment device. This is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. Ask a friend to hold you accountable. Use apps that block distracting websites during work hours. Give someone your credit card when you go out so you can't impulse shop. Make it impossible or extremely difficult to engage in the bad habit. Third, automate good behavior. Use technology to make bad behavior difficult. Set up automatic transfers to savings so you can't spend that money. Use website blockers during focus hours. Ask your internet provider to turn off service at 10 p.m. Remove the option entirely. Inversion of Law 4. Make it unsatisfying. We repeat behaviors that are rewarding. So if you make a bad habit unsatisfying or even painful, you'll be less likely to repeat it. Here's how. First, get an accountability partner. Tell someone about your habit-breaking goal. Know that you'll have to report your progress to them. We care deeply about what others think of us. The fear of disappointing someone can be a powerful deterrent. Make a habit contract. Write down the habit you're trying to break and the punishment if you fail. Have someone witness it. For example, if I eat junk food this week, I'll give $50 to my friend. The immediate cost makes the bad habit unsatisfying. Second, make the costs of bad habits immediate. Bad habits usually have delayed consequences, which is why we do them. Smoking doesn't give you lung cancer today. Overeating doesn't make you obese today. But if you can create an immediate negative consequence, the habit becomes unsatisfying. Some people put a rubber band on their wrist and snap it every time they have a bad thought or do a bad habit. It's a small, immediate punishment. Third, track your failures. Just like tracking successes is satisfying, tracking failures is unsatisfying. If you're trying to quit biting your nails, keep a count of how many times you slip. Seeing the number grow is unsatisfying and motivating to change. Now, let me be clear about something. Breaking bad habits is harder than building good ones. Why? Because bad habits are often deeply ingrained. They've been repeated thousands of times. The neural pathways are strong. The cues are everywhere. The rewards are immediate. This is why willpower alone doesn't work. You can't just decide to stop a bad habit and expect it to disappear. You need a system. You need to change your environment, your cues, your routines. Here's an important distinction: addiction versus habit. Some behaviors cross the line from habit into addiction. If you're dealing with addiction to substances, to behaviors that are destroying your life, you need professional help. These strategies can support recovery, but they're not a replacement for therapy, support groups, or medical intervention. For most bad habits, though, environment beats willpower every single time. You don't need more discipline. You need a better system. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you want to quit scrolling social media excessively. Make it invisible. Delete the apps from your phone. Log out on your computer so you have to manually log in each time. Make it unattractive. Set a screensaver that reminds you of what you're missing while scrolling. Calculate the hours you've wasted. Make it difficult. Use app blockers during work hours. Put your phone in another room. Remove notifications. Make it unsatisfying. Tell a friend you're quitting and ask them to check in. Every time you slip, you have to tell them. Put money on the line. When you apply all four inversions, bad habits become much harder to maintain. You're not fighting yourself with willpower. You're changing the environment and incentives so that the right behavior is easier than the wrong behavior. Here's the truth: you won't always succeed immediately. Breaking a bad habit is hard. You'll slip. You'll make mistakes. That's okay. What matters is that you get back on track immediately. Remember, never miss twice. One slip is human. Two slips is a pattern forming. In the next chapter, we're going to go deeper into the most powerful form of habit change: identity-based habits. Because the strongest habits are tied to who you believe you are. Let's keep building. Chapter 4: Identity-based habits. Let me share something that will change how you think about habits forever. Most people approach habits the wrong way. They focus on what they want to achieve. But there's a better way. Focus on who you want to become. This is the difference between outcome-based habits and identity-based habits. And it's the key to lasting change. Let me explain the 3 levels of change. At the surface level, you change what you get. This is outcome-based. You want to lose weight, publish a book, win a championship. These are your goals, your results. At the middle level, you change what you do. This is process-based. You implement a new routine, develop a system, change your habits. This is about the systems and processes. At the deepest level, you change what you believe. This is identity-based. You change your self-image, your beliefs about yourself, your worldview. This is about who you are. Most people start with outcomes. I want to lose 20 pounds. Then they work backward to processes. I'll go to the gym 4 times a week. But they never address identity. They never ask, who is the type of person who could achieve this outcome? This is why most goals fail. You might stick to a diet for a few weeks. You might go to the gym for a month. But unless you change your identity, you'll eventually drift back to your old behaviors. Because your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe you are. Here's a powerful example. Imagine two people trying to quit smoking. When offered a cigarette, the first person says, "No thanks. I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks. I'm not a smoker." Look at the difference. The first person still believes they're a smoker. They're resisting temptation. They're fighting against their identity. It's a constant battle. The second person has changed their identity. They don't smoke because they're not a smoker. There's no internal conflict. The behavior is aligned with the identity. This is why identity-based habits are so powerful. When your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you're no longer pursuing behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. You're not forcing yourself to go to the gym. You're a healthy person, and healthy people work out. You're not struggling to write every day. You're a writer, and writers write. You're not fighting to meditate. You're someone who values mindfulness, and mindful people meditate. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. See the shift? It's subtle but profound. So how do you actually change your identity? It happens in 2 steps. First, decide the type of person you want to be. Second, prove it to yourself with small wins. Let's break that down. Step 1. Decide who you want to be. This doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to completely overhaul your identity. Just ask yourself, what type of person do I want to become? Who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? For example, who is the type of person who could lose 40 pounds? A healthy person, a disciplined person, someone who values their body. Who is the type of person who could build a successful business? An entrepreneur, a problem solver, someone who takes action despite fear. Who is the type of person who could write a book? A writer, someone who shows up consistently, someone who values creativity. Once you have a sense of the identity you want to build, you can begin to describe that identity in simple statements. I'm the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. I'm the type of person who keeps their promises. I'm the type of person who shows up on time. I'm the type of person who finishes what they start. These are identity statements. They describe who you are, not what you want to achieve. Step 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Your identity emerges out of your habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to completely transform overnight. You just need to win the majority of your votes. If you write for 5 minutes, you've cast a vote for being a writer. If you go to the gym, you've cast a vote for being a healthy person. If you study Spanish for 10 minutes, you've cast a vote for being someone who speaks Spanish. Each habit is like a suggestion. Hey, maybe this is who I am. If you do it once, it's a weak suggestion. If you do it consistently, it becomes a strong belief. This is why small habits matter. They're not just about achieving a result. They're about reinforcing an identity. Every time you choose the behavior that aligns with your desired identity, you strengthen that identity. Over time, you accumulate evidence, and the evidence changes your beliefs about yourself. Here's the beautiful part. You don't need external validation. You don't need someone else to tell you who you are. You prove it to yourself. Every workout is proof that you're a healthy person. Every page written is proof that you're a writer. Every meditation session is proof that you're someone who values mindfulness. Small wins build identity. Identity reinforces habits. Habits create results. It's a virtuous cycle. Now let me address something important. What if your current identity is holding you back? What if you see yourself as lazy, undisciplined, or incapable? Here's the truth. Your identity isn't fixed. It's not who you are. It's just the story you've been telling yourself. And stories can change. If you've spent years believing you're not a morning person, that belief feels true. But it's not. It's just a habit of thought. If you've always said, "I'm terrible with money," that's not a fact. It's an identity you've adopted. The good news is you can change your identity by changing your habits. Start casting votes for the person you want to become. You don't have to believe it fully at first. Just act as if. Act as if you're a morning person. Set your alarm. Get up. Do it again tomorrow. Soon, the evidence will stack up. Act as if you're good with money. Save $5. Track your spending. Make one smart financial decision. Repeat. The evidence will accumulate. Act as if you're a writer, an athlete, a leader. The identity will follow the behavior. Here's another powerful insight. Your identity can work for you or against you. If you identify as someone who struggles with discipline, you'll find it hard to be disciplined. If you identify as someone who's naturally healthy, you'll find it easier to make healthy choices. This is why language matters. Stop saying, "I'm bad at this," or "I'm not the type of person who does that." Start saying, "I'm becoming someone who," or "I'm working on being the type of person who." It shifts you from fixed to growth, from stuck to evolving. Let me give you a powerful framework. Instead of focusing on goals, focus on identity. Instead of "I want to lose 20 pounds, say, "I am becoming a healthy person." Instead of "I want to save $10,000, say, "I am becoming financially responsible." Instead of "I want to write a book," say, "I am a writer." Then ask, what would a healthy person do right now? What would a financially responsible person do? What would a writer do? And do that, one action at a time, one vote at a time. Over weeks and months, those votes add up. You become that person, not because you achieved the goal, because you repeated the behaviors that define that identity. Here's the final piece: breaking old identities. Sometimes you need to let go of who you've been to become who you want to be. Maybe you've identified as the funny one who doesn't take things seriously, but now you want to build a business. You need to let go of that identity. Maybe you've identified as the rebel who breaks rules, but now you want to be a leader. You need to evolve that identity. Growth requires becoming someone new. That can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you're losing part of yourself. But you're not losing yourself. You're evolving. The person you're becoming includes the person you were, but isn't limited by them. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about how to stack habits and build systems that make your new identity inevitable. Because identity is powerful, but it needs to be supported by consistent action. Let's finish strong. Chapter 5: Habit Stacking and Systems. You now understand habits. You know how to build them, break them, and tie them to your identity. Now let's talk about how to create systems that make success automatic. This is where everything comes together. Let's start with habit stacking. This is one of the most practical strategies for building new habits. The concept is simple. Pair a new habit with an existing habit. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. Why does this work? Because you already have established neural pathways for your current habits. Your brain is used to doing them. By linking a new behavior to an established behavior, You're leveraging existing automation to build new automation. Here's how to create a powerful habit stack. Start with a habit you already do every single day without fail. Maybe it's making coffee. Maybe it's brushing your teeth. Maybe it's sitting down at your desk. Then stack a new habit on top of it. For example, morning routine stack. After I wake up, I will make my bed. After I make my bed, I will drink a full glass of water. After I drink water, I will meditate for 5 minutes. After I meditate, I will write 3 things I'm grateful for. After I write gratitude, I will exercise for 20 minutes. After I exercise, I will take a shower. After I shower, I will eat a healthy breakfast. Look at that. 7 positive habits stacked together. Each one triggers the next. You don't have to decide or use willpower. The sequence is automatic. You can create habit stacks for any part of your day. Evening routine stack. After I finish dinner, I will put my phone in another room. After I put my phone away, I will read for 30 minutes. After I read, I will journal about my day. After I journal, I will prepare my clothes for tomorrow. After I prepare clothes, I will brush my teeth. After I brush my teeth, I will go to bed. Work routine stack. After I sit at my desk, I will write my top 3 priorities for the day. After I write priorities, I will turn off all notifications. After I turn off notifications, I will work on my most important task for 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, I will take a 10-minute walk. The key to habit stacking is specificity. Don't just say, I'll meditate after breakfast. Say, after I put my breakfast plate in the sink, I will sit on my meditation cushion. Be specific about the cue. Make it obvious. Now let's talk about systems versus goals. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Goals are overrated. Systems are underrated. What's the difference? A goal is the result you want to achieve. A system is the process that leads to that result. For example, goal, win the championship. System, the training schedule and practice routines you follow. Goal, write a best-selling book. System, the daily writing habit you maintain. Goal, lose 30 pounds. System, the meal prep and workout routine you stick to. Here's why systems are more important than goals. First, winners and losers have the same goals. Every athlete wants to win. Every writer wants to publish a bestseller. Every entrepreneur wants to build a successful company. So goals can't be what differentiates success from failure. What differentiates them is the system. Second, achieving a goal is only a momentary change. If you clean your room, you have a clean room for now. But if you don't have a system to keep it clean, it'll be messy again soon. You want a system that continues to work, not just a one-time result. Third, goals restrict happiness. When you're working toward a goal, you're essentially saying, I'll be happy when I achieve this. But what if it takes years? Are you unhappy until then? Systems allow you to be satisfied anytime your system is running. You're making progress. That's worth celebrating. Fourth, goals are at odds with long-term progress. When you achieve a goal, you stop. You reach the finish line. But what then? Systems are about continuous improvement. There's no finish line. You're always getting better. So fall in love with the process, not the outcome. Commit to your system, and the results will follow. Now let me introduce you to a concept that explains why most people quit before they see results. The plateau of latent potential. Imagine you're trying to break through a block of ice with a hammer. You swing the hammer. Nothing. You swing again. Nothing. 10 times, 20 times, 50 times. The ice doesn't crack. You're tempted to give up. It's not working. But you keep going. 99 swings, still nothing. Then on the 100th swing, crack. The ice shatters. Did the 100th swing break the ice? No, all 100 swings broke the ice. The first 99 just weren't visible. This is how habits work. You make small improvements every day, but they don't seem to matter. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you feel like you're not making progress. This is the valley of disappointment. It's the space between where you are and where you think you should be. Most people quit here. They don't see results, so they assume it's not working. But all your small efforts are accumulating. You're building up potential energy. Then one day, breakthrough. Suddenly, you're making visible progress. People think it happened overnight. They don't see the months or years of work that led to that moment. This is why patience and persistence are so important. Trust the process. Trust that your small daily habits are moving you forward, even when you can't see it yet. Habits often don't seem to make a difference until you cross a critical threshold. You need to stick with them long enough to break through the plateau of latent potential. Now let's talk about designing your environment for habit success. Your environment is the invisible hand shaping your behavior. If you want to maximize your chances of success, design an environment that makes good habits easy and bad habits hard. Here are some principles. First, create separate spaces for different activities. Don't work in your bedroom. Don't scroll social media at your desk. Your brain associates environments with behaviors. If you do multiple things in one space, it's harder to focus on any one behavior. Second, make the cues of good habits visible. Put your workout clothes where you can see them. Put healthy snacks at eye level. Put your book on your pillow. What you see is what you do. Third, remove the cues of bad habits. Hide the TV remote. Delete social media apps. Don't keep junk food in the house. Out of sight, out of mind. Fourth, optimize for minimal friction. Set up your environment so that good habits require the least amount of effort. The easier a behavior is, the more likely you'll do it. Now let's talk about tracking and measurement. You've probably heard, what gets measured gets managed. It's true. Tracking your habits makes you more likely to stick with them. Why? Because tracking provides immediate feedback. It shows you whether you're making progress or falling behind. Here's the simplest way to track habits. Get a calendar. Every day you complete your habit, put an X on that day. After a few days, you have a chain. Your job is simple, don't break the chain. This strategy was famously used by Jerry Seinfeld to become a better comedian. He put an X on his calendar every day he wrote jokes. Seeing the chain grow was motivating. Not wanting to break it was powerful. You can use habit tracking apps, journals, or simple calendars. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you track. Because tracking itself becomes a cue. When you see your streak, you don't want to break it. Tracking also helps you notice patterns. Maybe you always skip workouts on Fridays. Now you can plan for that. Maybe you eat healthy all week, but struggle on weekends. Now you know where to focus. Finally, let me give you some advanced strategies. First, habit pairing. Combine something you need to do with something you want to do. Only listen to your favorite podcast while working out. Only watch your favorite show while folding laundry. This makes necessary habits more enjoyable. Second, safeguard against slipping. Use if-then planning. If I miss my morning workout, then I'll work out at lunch. If I eat unhealthy at lunch, then I'll eat extra healthy at dinner. Pre-commit to how you'll recover from mistakes. Third, create social accountability. Share your goals publicly. Tell your friends. Post progress on social media. We care deeply about what others think of us. Social pressure can be a powerful motivator. Fourth, use environment resets. When you travel or move, your habits reset. Use this to your advantage. Start new habits when you change environments. Old cues are gone. It's easier to build new behaviors. Here's the final truth about habits and systems. Small habits don't add up, they compound. Reading 10 pages a day doesn't seem like much, but it's 3,650 pages a year. That's 12 to 15 books. Writing 500 words a day is just 15 minutes, but it's 182,500 words a year. That's 2 full books. Working out 20 minutes a day is less than 1% of your day, but it's 121 hours a year of exercise. The compound effect of tiny habits is extraordinary. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to get 1% better each day. And systems make that possible. Build your habit stacks. Focus on systems, not goals. Design your environment. Track your progress. Trust the process through the plateau of latent potential. One small habit at a time, you're building the life you want. In the final section, we're going to bring everything together and give you a clear action plan. Let's finish strong. We've covered a lot in the last hour, so let's bring it all together. You started by learning the science of habits, what they are, how they work, and why they're so powerful. You learned about the habit loop, cue, craving, response, reward. You discovered the 1% rule. Small improvements compound into extraordinary results. You learned that your identity shapes your habits, and your habits shape your identity. Then you learn the 4 laws of building good habits. Make it obvious. Use implementation intention, habit stacking, and environment design to make cues clear. Make it attractive. Use temptation bundling, join supportive communities, and reframe your mindset. Make it easy. Reduce friction. Use the 2-minute rule and prime your environment. Make it satisfying. Give immediate rewards, track your progress, and never miss twice. Next, you learned how to break bad habits using the inversion of those laws. Make it invisible. Remove cues from your environment. Make it unattractive. Highlight costs and find healthier substitutes. Make it difficult. Add friction and use commitment devices. Make it unsatisfying. Create accountability and immediate consequences. Then you discovered the power of identity-based habits. You learned that true behavior change is identity change. You learned to focus on who you want to become, not just what you want to achieve. You learned that every action is a vote for your identity, and small wins build the evidence that changes your beliefs about yourself. Finally, you learned about habit stacking and systems. You learned to chain habits together for maximum efficiency. You learned that systems are more important than goals. You learned about the plateau of latent potential and why you need to trust the process even when you don't see immediate results. You learned to design your environment, track your habits, and use advanced strategies to make success inevitable. So here's what it all comes down to. You are your habits. Your life is the sum of your daily behaviors. What you do today, you'll likely do tomorrow. What you do this week, you'll likely do next week. Your habits are either taking you toward the life you want or away from it. There's no neutral. But here's the incredible truth. You have the power to change your habits. You don't need more willpower. You don't need to wait for motivation. You need better systems. You need to make good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. You need to make bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. You need to build an identity that supports the behaviors you want. Small changes don't seem to matter until they cross a threshold, but they do matter. They're accumulating below the surface. A 1% improvement every day seems insignificant, but it compounds. In 1 month, you're 30% better. In a year, you're 37 times better. That's not hype. That's math. That's the compound effect of habits. Think about what's possible if you build just one new habit. If you read 10 pages every day, you'll read 3,650 pages a year. That's 12 to 15 books. Imagine the knowledge you'd gain. If you write 500 words every day, you'll write 182,500 words a year. That's enough for 2 books. Imagine what you could create. If you work out 20 minutes every day, that's 121 hours a year. Imagine how your body and health would transform. If you save $10 every day, that's $3,650 a year. Imagine the financial freedom that builds over time. One habit, one small change, compounded over time, life-changing results. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, before you move on to the next thing, choose one habit to build. Just one. Don't try to change everything. Don't commit to 10 new habits. Choose one. Make it tiny. Make it so small you can't say no. Not work out for an hour. Start with do 1 push-up. Not read for 30 minutes. Start with read 1 page. Not meditate for 20 minutes. Start with sit on my meditation cushion for 1 minute. Why so small? Because the goal isn't the 1 push-up or the 1 page. The goal is to become the type of person who shows up. Once you show up consistently, you can increase the difficulty. But first, build the habit of showing up. Now, apply the 4 laws to your one habit. Make it obvious. When and where will you do it? What's the cue? Make it attractive. How can you make it enjoyable? Can you pair it with something you love? Make it easy. Remove all friction. Set up your environment the night before. Make it satisfying. How will you track it? How will you reward yourself? Write it down. Make a commitment. Start tomorrow. No, start today. Right now. Do the first rep of your new habit immediately. 1 push-up, 1 page, 1 minute. Prove to yourself that you're becoming this person. Then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. Don't break the chain. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to not miss twice. 1 slip is human. 2 slips is a pattern. When you miss, get back on track immediately. Here's what's going to happen. In the first week, it'll feel good. You're motivated. You're excited. This is easy. In the second week, it'll get harder. The novelty wears off. You'll be tempted to quit. Don't. This is where most people fail. Push through. In the 3rd and 4th week, it starts to feel automatic. You're building a neural pathway. It's becoming part of your routine. By the end of 30 days, you'll have cast 30 votes for your new identity. That's evidence. That's proof. That's transformation. And then you can add another habit. And another. Slowly. Patiently. 1 habit at a time. In 1 year, you could have 12 new habits. Imagine who you'd be with 12 new habits. Imagine what your life would look like. But it starts with 1. Today. Now. Here's the truth I need you to understand. Your current habits got you here. They created your current life. If you want a different life, you need different habits. It's that simple and that hard. But you can do this. You have everything you need. You have the knowledge. You have the strategies. You have the frameworks. Now you just need to take action. Small action. Consistent action. Your life will not change because you listen to this audiobook. It will change because you apply what you've learned. So take the first step. Choose your habit. Define it clearly. Apply the 4 laws. And start. Start today. Start now. 1 small habit at a time, you're building the life you want. 1 vote at a time, you're becoming the person you want to be. This is how transformation happens. Not through massive overnight changes. through small daily habits that compound over time. You have the power. You have the knowledge. Now go use it. Build the habits that change your life. Thank you for this hour. Now go make every hour after this count. You've got this.